I want to talk about When the Sun Goes Down, which is the scene in the film where they're kind of dancing on the side of the building. The camera's turning a lot. You're playing with perspective. You're playing with angles. And we have a question on Instagram from John MC Writer who wants to know, how did you shoot the extraordinary and seamless dancing up the wall? So I think this is one of those scenes where people watch, it's beautiful, and they say, how did you do this? So tell us, we want to know.
Well, lots of people think it's just visual effects. They're on wires, but it wasn't. There are definitely visual effects to it, but all the dancing is real. No dance doubles, no wires, and all the lighting cues are real. So what we did was we shot that on a soundstage, and we've got a horizontal. A big dance floor, basically, that's all brick that looks like the side of the building. And during prep, we went and looked for what we thought, like where the building would actually sit, and then modeled Nina's building off of an existing location very close to the George Washington Bridge. And that's where we shot our plate shots for, because we are in a green screen world on the stage with the building as a dance floor. But to make it seem like they're suddenly dancing up the side of the wall, we start with a vertical fire escape part of the wall, and it's a hydraulic. It's on hydraulics, and it slowly tips backwards. And so Chris figured out with the dancers how to hide that. How to make it seem like Nina goes and leans back against the window, and so she's braced for when the when the building starts to tip, and then Benny, with all his strength, is able to pull himself up onto the wall, and you don't see it, and then the lighting challenge for me is you've got a sky source, and when it's flat, the sky needs to be vertical, and when the fire escape is upright, the sky needs to be above you. And so the gaffer and I and the key grip created these 3 huge soft boxes with sky panel S60s, 120 of them, through light grid, I believe, and closer to the sun, the sky panels are warmer and they cool off as we get further away from the sun down the street. And then as the building starts to dip, the sky panels start to shift and turn on. So you've got the top ones on and they start to dim off, and the next ones start to dim on. So you always have a constant sky source. But then we have a sun. Now it's when the sun goes down. We've got the sun setting at an exact specific period of time. And we shot our plate shots before we shot our soundstage part, because we shot When the Sun Goes Down the very last couple of days of our shooting schedule. And I wanted the sun during Manhattan Henge in New York, which is when the sun lines up perfectly with the streets. There are a couple of days during that period of time where the sun is actually north of the George Washington Bridge, and it's usually south. And for the angle on the building, I wanted the sun to just be slightly north, and you see it through the bridge that way instead of just to the left of it. And so now we have the same thing, which is we need the shadows to stay consistent. So we've got 4 people pushing a 20K on a giraffe crane with a lamp operator in the crane, tilting the lamp and moving it in an exact as the building's turning, so that the sun stays exactly in the right place as well. So it was a huge challenge for everyone. It took everyone's brain power. We started talking about it on day 1, and then we did a motion capture session where we're in a VR environment and we got goggles on. It was Chris, me, the visual effects supervisor, and John on a Saturday, and we just and 2 dancers, and we started to figure out when should the world be when should the bridge be upright, and when should it be on its side? So when do we shift? How do we shift our axis? What cells define gravity the most? And then at first we're like, well, we'll just lock the camera onto the wall so that tips perfectly at the perfect time. And instead we realized, no, what sells it is that you need a really, really long first shot and a really, really long last shot. And so we can't anchor the camera to the building. So we shot on a techno crane. And so then the operator also had to like be completely in sync with when the building was turning. It was so much fun and such a huge challenge, and creatively and technologically, and it was just so much fun to do.